Remakes in the gaming industry seem to always have a mixed reception. Sometimes they're highly anticipated, but can also be incredibly disappointing releases. I never said they were mutually exclusive characteristics. I've noticed that the way remakes are approached can vary significantly, and Super Mario 3D All-Stars took 3 different approaches on its own. 64 improves some of its textures, but keeps its 4:3 aspect ratio. And you can argue that it also features bug fixes, considering it was built upon a version of the game that has the backwards long jump patched. And while this build was made in the 90s, it was only available in Japan at the time, and the other English releases on Virtual Console still use the original version. Also, since I don't think I'll find a better place to talk about this, can we just admire the fact that for using the Wii U with analog cables, yes, it's a very forgettable but possible option, Virtual Console games will feature both letterboxing, since the console interface is made for 16:9 televisions, and pillar boxing, because black bars were added to maintain the aspect ratio of older games, meaning that you get black bars on all 4 sides of your screen. This probably sucked for people who wanted to play Virtual Console games this way, but it's still really funny. Super Mario Sunshine is now in widescreen, but other than 3D resolution, it's essentially the same game, and Galaxy only features a 3D resolution increase, since the original already had widescreen support. Kind of. Believe me, I respect everyone that's willing to correct me on this fact, but I'm already far enough off topic, and now's not the time. Anyway, how do you know when to keep things as they are versus enhancing them? Should you patch bugs? Improve textures? I mean, Sonic Colors Ultimate even added bugs. The answer is, I don't know. But the Wind Waker HD is pretty cool. The first thing that you'll notice upon starting the Wind Waker HD is the beautifully reimagined soundtrack. I'm only joking. But most, if not all, the songs do have differences ranging from pretty subtle to, oh, yeah, I can hear that. Gohma's theme is probably one of the most obvious, with the HD version sounding a lot less Pokemon Emerald. With that out of the way, I've always really liked how the Wind Waker HD looked ever since I first saw it. It's a big change from the original, but I think I lean towards the remake in terms of my own personal preference. Some people complain that the bloom was overwhelming, and while I understand where that point comes from, screw it, here's even more. The color palette is different, which is a generally welcome change for me, even if some things are a bit weird. Wind Waker HD also features dynamic shadows, I really like these, and smooth lighting from objects such as torches, which I like on the environments, but I think looks a bit strange on the player model. But the Wind Waker HD isn't any old put some pretty effects on the old game and ship it out deal. There are several quality of life changes made that improve the experience without changing the overall vibe of the game. By comparison, if a friend were to tell me they just beat Sonic 1 on their phone, I would absolutely tell them, oh yeah, you should try it on Genesis, because there's no spin dash, spikes don't obey iframes, and you can't save your game. Even if I'm happier with these mechanics in the newer version of the game, I think they take away from what makes Sonic 1 really feel like Sonic 1. Which is pain. I think Sonic 1 is meant to be painful. What I mean to say is that even if the original Wind Waker and HD are different, the only thing you're really missing out on is a lot of... Wind Waker HD added the Swift Sale to the game, which is available during some nights in the auction house in Windfall. This isn't my favorite way to obtain an item, considering the amount of RNG surrounding the auction house in general. Even outside of a speedrunning perspective, going for this thing can take a while if you're unlucky enough. It's pretty lame in that sense, but it increases the movement speed of the boat and automatically adjusts the wind to blow at the player. If you're actually trying to experience the game and explore, I think it's worth it for sure, but if you're just replaying the game for the sake of gameplay footage for a video, of which will only use a small fraction of the amount of time recorded, then don't bother. Going back to Wind Direction, HD will also stop repeating songs if you played them at least once since the file's been loaded, so there's an improvement to the boat experience even if you aren't going out of your way to grab an item. It's far from the only one though. Using the D-pad as a shortcut to access boat functional items such as the grappling hook and bombs is one little thing that saves a lot of hassle. The sail and the Wind Waker itself are no longer items that need to be equipped at all. Not that it would have been a huge problem anyway, considering that if you're playing with the Wii U gamepad, you don't even need to pause the game to equip items. Do you see the theme here? Every change is meant to make the game feel less clunky or cut back on wasted time re-equipping the same items or listening to the command melody for the 50th time. Faster grappling hook animation, shallower ocean, cannon reticle, allowing for movement with first-person items. These sorts of changes are fantastic because they're affecting things that the player is not even meant to think about, and I'd bet that most of the things slowing the original game down were not even conscious gameplay decisions. I think they were just made the way they were, and nobody really thought to change them until the general audience started to point them out. When replaying recently, I also remember that you can change direction of ropes without stopping, and the cruising speed on the King of Redlands is way more bearable, making grappling, treasure hunting, and even the beginning of the Tower of the Gods that much better. The only consciously slow choice in the original game I can think of is the general sailing speed. Now supposedly, in air quotes, the sailing speed gave time for the GameCube to load islands in, making the addition of the Swift Sail to the original game impossible, while the extremely powerful Wii U can have the entire Great Sea loaded at once. Or something. You see, I want to believe this sort of thing, but it's honestly just kind of an advertisement. It's not very difficult to get Link up to speeds way faster than the King of Lions in either game, and you can kind of prove for yourself that even the GameCube doesn't really have problems loading islands quickly. It's possible to cause issues, sure, but those are generally under extreme circumstances. And I'm pretty sure the randomizer community has also managed to implement the Swift Sale already, so I think we've all been getting fooled by a Wii U ad this entire time. Every small change I mentioned and the numerous others start to really add up when accounting for a playthrough that's probably going to be around 12 hours long. And it's not just a matter of the game being easier. There were a couple of difficulty adjustments made in HD, notably the Moblin AI and the Forsaken Fortress, but everything else I spoke about is just a matter of wasting less time. There's only one really big change in progression in Wind Waker HD. It's not subtle whatsoever, but it shouldn't be. It was something so terrible in the original, even a faithful recreation of the game could not let pass. Let's talk about the Triforce. For those who are unfamiliar, after completing all the temples, the game decides that it's been a little bit too much fun and you need to collect the 8 individual pieces of the Triforce hidden throughout the map. To reveal their location, you must find the 8 Triforce charts, which need to be deciphered for 398 rupees each. The Incredible chart will show you which island to find each Triforce chart on, but is inconveniently priced at 201 rupees from the mailbox, in a game where the default wallet size is 200. This is the only letter in the game that you have to pay for. In fact, letters often have money attached to them for the player to keep. Some of these charts have whole elaborate quests behind them, whereas others you just walk in and grab. And I feel like if it's tucked away somewhere like Savage Labyrinth, which as far as I'm concerned is under pretty tight security, they should just straight up give the player the shard instead. Oh wait, and bless your soul if you played on the Japanese version of this game, because instead of finding Triforce Chart 5 where you'd expect, it's just another poopy old treasure chart. I thought I went to the wrong spot or messed something up because 1, I couldn't understand anything anybody was saying, and 2, I didn't get what I was looking for despite being exactly where the player's instructed to go. The Incredible chart literally straight up lies. And look, I get it. They hyphenate the name to imply that the chart could be possibly inaccurate. But for the player, it's already difficult enough to figure out how to get these charts, even given their location. But to lie to the player? That's just frustrating. This isn't even a rant about SD anymore because this is only a thing in Japan, but still, what the hell? As it turns out, this treasure chart leads you to find another treasure chart, which leads you to another, and another, until you finally end up getting the Triforce chart that you were looking for in the first place, which, I'll add, you still have to pay for to even use. The Triforce quest in the GameCube is intentionally annoying, unreasonably expensive, long, and tedious. It's not promoting exploration, doesn't make me any more interested in the world, and finding some ancient treasure of legend loses its whole charm and appeal after about the second or third time. Now in the Wind Waker HD, the whole quest isn't entirely removed. Honestly, it plays too much of a significant role in the story to really work that way, but the initial wallet size is 500, allowing the player to buy the Incredible chart as soon as it's available instead of only after finding a wallet upgrade. And of the 8 Triforce shards that need to be found, only 3 of them require charts like before. I wouldn't go as far as to say that the changes make the quest enjoyable, but it feels much less like the daunting chore that it was in the first game. And I know I said that the subtle changes in HD add up over the course of a long playthrough, and while that's still true, the changes made in the Triforce quest are easily the biggest reason to play HD over the original. You'll end up saving a lot of time and a lot of headache. Even though the Triforce quest sours some of the time spent playing the Wind Waker, it's still a solid game, and the developers knew that when making the Wind Waker HD. None of the added content or adjustments feel cheap at all. It struck a good balance between keeping the game's identity and trimming out what was unnecessary. And for those who want an identical experience from the original, just throw an ISO into Dolphin and turn the settings up. The reason why I think the Wind Waker HD stands out to me is because it's not just that. And whenever I decide to replay it, the improvements easily justify the added hassle of plugging in my Wii U. Now, if only they could have thought of a more future-proof replacement for the Tingle Tuner. Rest in peace, Miiverse.